Hello and welcome to another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show, where this week we're super excited to have the offensive coordinator of the Southmoore SaberCats in Oklahoma, Mr. Bryan Freeman, on the show. Coach has led some explosive offense. We're excited to learn some stuff from Coach. And as always, I love having guests on. There's so many great people out there that are so knowledgeable and generous with their information, and we're certainly excited to learn from Coach today. Just a reminder before we get going, the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show is brought to you by School Funder. School Funder, the only online fundraising company in America that lets you keep all of the money your team raises. You would never give away 20% of the wins your team earns. Why do coaches all across the country willingly give away 20% of their proceeds in fundraising when they don't have to? Please call the good people at School Funder at schoolfundr.org, and you will keep all of the money your team raises in fundraising. We've used School Funder for the last couple of years and kept everything. So don't give away money when you don't have to. Call those good people at School Funder. It'll help the show. Tell them the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show sent you. As you're helping the show right now, hit subscribe. Absolutely not going to spam you. Doesn't do anything but gives you free resources, free access to all of the great videos we got up. We got somewhere around 90 now, different videos from coaches all across the country sharing information. So hit subscribe right now and you can get all that stuff for free. Like I've told you guys, the absolute only goal of the show is to try to help coaches, give them a free resource out there, kind of a clinic on demand, a little bit Glazier-esque, so to speak. So you get a lot of great information, talk a lot of ball, and I love talking ball with different parts of the state because there's certain things that are prevalent in different states, and I always enjoy hearing the playoff selections, different stuff like that from our different states, because a lot of people do it differently than Arizona, and I think that's fun as well. But again, as always, one of my favorite parts of the show is whenever we talk to somebody, we try to get a little bit of their football story. Try to hear about how the games affected them and shaped their lives and their coaching journey and all of that. So, Coach, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your football story.
Absolutely, yeah. We grew up playing it since we were, 5, 6 years old. I've got a twin brother that also coaches football in South Dakota, and so, it was kind of always part of our lives, something we really liked and enjoyed. Got into high school. I wasn't all that great, wasn't very good. Kind of knew I wanted to be around the game, and so my high school coach, Mike Whaley, just we talked, and he kind of convinced me to go out and work at a Division II school around here, kind of around town, and get my start there. So I went and volunteered, student assisted at a school called University of Central Oklahoma here in Edmond. While I was there, got to work for a guy named Jay Wilkinson, he's at Broken Arrow High School now here in Oklahoma. But he's really been kind of a big mentor for me, a guy that I bet we talk 3 or 4 times a week still, and done a lot of things for me, really helped me out. And so just kind of got to follow him for a few years at the beginning of my career. And then kind of ventured out on my own, went to a few different places around the Tulsa area, got engaged to my wife when we were in Tulsa. We ended up moving back here to Oklahoma City. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours after we got married. And we've kind of been around quite a few different places in the state here. So it's been good. Worked at places like Mustang here in the Oklahoma City area, Edmond, Santa Fe. Worked at Broken Arrow, Jinx, had a lot of fun doing it. And again, it's something that, our family really likes. I bet we had 10 groomsmen in my wedding when we got married, and every one of them had something to do with football, either played high school football with them, coached with them, things like that. And so it's always been a big part of our lives, and really enjoyed it. So.
Coach, you've been at, obviously I'm not from Oklahoma, but everybody around the country I think kind of knows Jinx and Broken Arrow. So you've been at some some big time places, had an opportunity to learn from some great coaches, I would imagine. So I'm going to turn it over to you and coach us up a little bit on whatever concept and things you're willing to share.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. And yeah, definitely been around a lot of really, really good coaches. And one of the best things kind of that I've learned is just the study of football and trying to go out and find new things. And even if it's, a new thing that may not necessarily fit our guys or anything like that, maybe it'll, spark a new idea or spark a new way to kind of coach some things and teach some things. And so the concept that I thought of when you and I talked about doing this was this spoon concept from Coach the Will Stein guy at Oregon. He's at Kentucky now. Heard him speak on it a couple years ago at a clinic. And this was something, I say all that to say, this was something last year, kind of one of our big goals was going out and finding some new quick game, some things that could be kind of some easy, quick reads for our quarterback. He does a really good job of getting the ball out on time for the most part. Just trying to find things that could get him to kind of focus in on one guy after the snap. And so we went out and found this. And to be totally honest, it was just kind of an ancillary thing that we put in. And then kind of as we got into it, it really, really became probably one of our more efficient quick games that we had last year. And so essentially what we're trying to do is we've got some sort of like pre-snap idea of trying to get the ball to one of our guys in space, our outside receiver on the out route, trying to get, for lack of a better way to put it, trying to get kind of the corner out of there, out of the flats. And so, he's our first read, kind of our peak read pre-snap. If we've got a corner that's inside or off the ball, we'll take a shot at the out route. And again, I mean, it's a 4 to 6 yard catch, but it keeps us on schedule, keeps us moving forward. And again, really gives us a good chance at getting guys out of the flat area where we're trying to attack, if that kind of makes sense. And so we're we're a wide split team. Like we're tick to tick most snaps. And so that was one thing that this concept, we kind of had to change a little bit or kind of mess around with a little bit of things split wise, especially like with an out route. Again, we're not going to want to run it from the ticks, but we did cut down some splits, do some bunch stuff that again really gave us a good chance to kind of hit it from about 15 different formations throughout the year. And it really kind of saved us and protected some of our run game things, protected some of our play action things as well. So again, the way we kind of taught it to our guys is we come out and our first read quarterback wise is going to be that out. If we can get the corner out of there, it goes pretty well for us. There's a few clips on here that we'll talk about or see here in a second. But if we can get the corner outside, now all of a sudden we can look in between 2 and 3 and just kind of have our eyes on that linebacker. And the way that we taught 2's route, that sit route, similar to like the old Tony Franklin air raid spacing sit route. Now, as we kind of got into the season, he would start working all the way over and get kind of lost with the mic as he pushed over because, again, as we're, cutting our splits and bringing motion and things, like it kind of brought defenders over to that side as we throw this quite a bit. And so we ended up teaching him more like, hey, instead of getting all the way to that window, like we want him almost attacking the inside shoulder of that linebacker. And what that kind of did for us too is it really helped us get that linebacker to kind of run with him. And so that then opens up what we end up calling the outside replace or an outside release replace route. And we kind of taught it the same way as the replace on like Y corner, the Tony Franklin air raid stuff. And so again, if we can get this guy running in with that, we just want to kind of hitch up right in that window. As he comes out, we'll keep widening out with him to try and pull him away from that sit route. And so we gave him a little bit of freedom on that. That was the one route again that it's not always necessarily technically the same, but he's always getting in that space of get outside of that outside linebacker. because we do want to stress that guy out horizontally. And so quarterback wise, again, footwork, if we're catching and throwing the out, we're catching and throwing the out. I mean, we'll put our right foot in the ground and rip the ball out there before anything really develops. Again, it's a way for us to get a nice, easy, uncovered throw. Now, if we don't like the out, if we're off of that and we're reading the linebacker, we do want to take more of like a quick three. There's a few clips in here where our quarterback kind of gets a little bit extra with his feet. Like he'll take the 3-step drop and it's pretty good, but then he'll kind of take a couple more shuffles to let things develop a little bit. But we'd really like to hit that 3rd step and make a decision off of that outside linebacker. So.
Coach, 15 formations is a lot of sets. Pretty versatile concept.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's on my call sheet. One of the best things I've got. Like, we're a true players, formation, plays kind of offense. I mean, we'll carry a lot more formations and tags than we will schemes. And once we can kind of find, again, like this one, that we can sit there and figure out a way to maybe motion a guy or shift somebody over and run it a little bit differently. Like, we'd much rather do that than come up with a new scheme, So, so again, down here at the bottom, this was one of the quick out throws. And so again, you see, like, yeah, they do push everybody over here. We've got a ton of defenders over here for our 3 guys, but we're still telling our quarterback, hey, if the out's there, like the out's there. Numbers don't necessarily matter. Because again, we've got such good spacing that even if this guy's head up over 2, like, he's still not going to make it all the way out there if we can get the out thrown in time.
Is this concept you guys like more to the boundary or the field, Coach, or is it pretty versatile either way?
It's pretty versatile for us. The only problem if we go to the or to the field is we do have to cut our splits and bring those in a little bit just because of how wide we are. I mean, again, like, that's our single receiver to the field. I mean, we're telling those guys they're not allowed inside the numbers. We're telling the inside guys they're not allowed inside the hash. So we either had to, like, cut splits down and make it kind of obvious, or there's some where we'll motion the outside guy in to be that sit route to get the kind of rub cross effect. Golly.
Sometimes it ends up being better on the when we broadcast it. Sometimes depending upon wherever the loading can take a bit, but
gotcha. Well, sorry, dude.
No worries. So walk me through which player you're gonna read initially here. Like, what are you thinking quarterback wise here? Would you be telling your quarterback in the pre-snap here?
So right now we're telling him find. I think this guy was 27. This cornerback here, and again he's 8 yards off. So we've got kind of that 7-yard hard line or hard edge that we use. If those guys are that far off, like, we need to take whatever easy kind of access throw that we've got built into everything. And so in this instance, it's an out. We've got some things that it's a hitch, some slants. All of those kind of, for lack of a better way to put it, we call them junior high routes. Those things that we can just go out there and kind of run and throw and catch whenever we need to. And so we've always got something like that built into it. And so that's kind of what, like I said, kind of our peak look is. We want to check that thing out first. See if we can just catch and throw it now, and again, not have to mess with anything else. But say like this guy's the corner and he's sitting out here over number 1 and he's out of there, then we get our eyes on this guy with, looks like he's got a sweet towel there. And again, all it is, hey, is he going to run and put hands on the sit guy? Then we need to replace him with the ball on the outside. If he kind of hesitates, hangs his feet for a second, we can get the sit route in here. Let's throw the sit route inside of him. So,
and let me ask you, Coach, that single guy to the field he got a huge split. Is he kind of just out there for funsies, or you guys got some things you can do with him? Or?
So What we end up doing on the backside is we've got like on this one, we've got like the snag, the single receiver replace route off of him, swinging our tailback over there. We have a few clips in here that end up working pretty well where we would shuffle motion our tailback out and run like hitch with the dig back behind it. And again, it's stuff that once they start plussing everybody over here, like they run out of guys back to the field. And so it's ways that we can get kind of a high-low or a wide stress on that guy with a single receiver and a tailback.
Yeah, they are definitely aligning to the formation,
Right.
not the
Yes. And so this was Stillwater High School. We played them week 10 in our district without our quarterback. And then we ended up playing them week 12 in the second round of the playoffs. So this was the second time we had played them in 3 weeks.
Gotcha.
So
We've taken advantage of that once. We lost the region title on the last day of the regular season, and then we drew them the next week in the first round and got them in the playoff game because it's really hard when you play the same team a couple weeks in a row. I think for the team that won the initial
Right.
match.
And we, again, like our quarterback was out the first time we played him. I feel like we kind of held our own with him a little bit as best we could, kind of early. And then we might even jumped out on him early in the playoff game. I think we had a 7-0 lead or 10-7 lead at some point like that. But they're a good bunch, man. They're a good program up here. So.
Yeah, there's definitely some good programs in Oklahoma. I've seen a few. Phil, there's a lot of very good football played there.
Yes. Well, golly, man.
Hey, we got a snap. We're heading towards the play.
We're getting there. We're getting closer to it.
Do you guys see a more odd, even front in your area, or what have you guys been seeing more of?
It's gone more to an odd front. I think at least the last few years. Like we still played an even front last year. We had a pretty good defensive line. But like guys, I mean, it's like everything else, it's cyclical and all that. But I think more people are doing kind of the odd stuff and bringing somebody down, kind of like they did here. Like they're gonna be gap sound, they're gonna be gapped out, but it's more odd stuff, I would say.
And let me ask you, the 6A level in Oklahoma, I've talked about this with some other coaches, and I always think this is interesting.
Yes, sir.
If you see small school ball at a lot of states, you really see a variety of offenses.
Right.
As you kind of climb up the chain to the bigger schools, everybody is running some version of the spread, in my opinion. Whereas sometimes at that 3A, 2A level, you'll see, wing T one week, you'll see a flex bone team. You'll see a lot of variety in offense. Is that something you would say, or do you see it all in Oklahoma?
Yeah, we've got. At a certain point, everybody here is going to try and be pretty, pretty multiple with things, pretty balanced with things. We've got a few flex bone guys around and stuff, and our head coach at Southmoore, this was his first year. He the previous place that he was the head coach, he had run the flex bone, and that was at a 4A school.
Okay.
So there's more variety at smaller schools like that, but we've had some coaches that'll get some bigger jobs that bring some of that stuff. But yeah, for the most part, people are going to be in 10 and 11. Every once in a while you'll get some 21 personnel guys that can just line up and crush people.
I just had a guy on from Kansas, and I was unfamiliar with the short pistol flex bone. I really, really enjoyed it. There was some really good stuff there. I thought that was interesting stuff. Coach, if you want, you can just kind of walk us through what happens on this one, and then maybe we'll go to another clip.
Gotcha. Honestly, all that happens is our quarterback puts his foot in the ground and throws it to our outside receiver right here, and we go gain 4 yards and make it 3rd and 3. Nothing
all right,
too.
Love it. Nice and productive.
Yeah. So, see if we can get this one going. So this is one that we'll like shuffle motion our back out. Again, though, they've got him plussed over here, so we told our quarterback check the spoon side was kind of what we got to. That was our you know, I guess higher percentage one, more efficient one that we wanted to throw. And so that was always his first thought, his first read. And so now you've got to look here where the corner is kind of squatted and down, and he looks like he's outside. So it makes it pretty easy on our quarterback. He's just going to take, I think this guy's got some forearm shivers on or something. Just have his eyes on him. And again, is he going to run in with the guy? If he puts his hands on our sit route at all, we want to kind of automatically be ready to throw that replace outside. And we ended up doing this a lot with our sniffer. It gave us something good that we could have, like kind of back towards him, but with the run game too, because a lot of our run game, out of the sidecar stuff is our tailback coming back across. So again, it did kind of help with some of that, having a good quick game that could get him involved. And he ended up being kind of our most explosive player off of this because they would sit in with our sit route guy, and there's nobody left back out there. So I think he had our tight end sniffer kid had 2 or 3 catches off of this that went more than 20. So it ended up being kind of surprisingly explosive for us.
And I think I probably know the answer to this, but we, for a while there, were trying to do the RPO thing a lot where we didn't have true quick game in as much.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, the last 3 years we've had true quick game in, and it's pass-wise, it's been our most productive stuff.
Right.
And I don't know if you guys are more where you're going to call quick game and have it run or what have you, but I think when you're actually calling the quick game, I feel like it's been more beneficial than if they have the option just hand the ball off or what have you.
See, so we've got every run play that we'll have, we will tag past concepts onto it. Most of the time they're quick game, they're fast screen, again, those junior high routes, stuff like that. And so I mean, the last couple of years, I bet if you took all of our snaps, our quarterback's got some sort of decision to make on over 90% of them. And so I bring all that up to say kind of we were in that same boat of like we went and we called 40 run plays a game and said, well, hey, this is our run game and quick game, so we don't necessarily need to work on all that quick game stuff. And then so we'd carry essentially run game, drop back, play action, and we just never had any there was no way to ever force the ball in that 5 to 10 yard space out there to really keep those linebackers out. And again, we teach it with our quarterback throwing numbers and all that stuff, and they do a good job of getting the ball out on run game when they need to. But yeah, like you're saying, I mean, if we can just hard call a quick game deal where we're throwing a hitch or we're throwing some sort of replace route, I think that's really kind of helped open up our run game more than, calling 15 quick games is helping our run game more than calling 45 run plays with no quick game and having RPOs on all of it.
Gotcha. Well, I like I said, you can kind of tell us what's going on pre-snap maybe if we don't have any luck with the actual plays. I think seeing the front is still valuable.
Gotcha.
And all that stuff. So.
Yes, sir. Well, I apologize. But
no worries. Sometimes the internet is who it is. What are you going to do?
Right. It's great most of the time, but when it does mess up, it isn't near as fun. But maybe I can kind of click through this as we go. But again, they end up plussing everybody over here. Here's our middle linebacker guy. So he's pushed over to the left guard. We get our shuffle motion with our tailback and get him to move over even more. And again, it just gives us that pretty large window out there. We're off of the out route with the corner. So as our quarterback catches the ball, he should just be getting his eyes on the kid on the hash right there. And again, as he puts his hands on that, there's nobody left for our outside replace guy. And so, again, we'd like to have our quarterback put the ball in there a little bit faster. You can see he kind of gets a little bit of a foot fire going as our guy turns around. But like I said, it gives a pretty good open window to throw some of those things. Even as the corner ends up inside, he's who comes in and makes the play. He's inside on that out route, but again, we're catching it for 4 yards on 2nd and 7. Works out great for us, right? we'll take 3rd and 3. So
Absolutely. And coach, I actually kind of like this way because you can really see it develop in terms of
yeah,
what you're thinking this way.
perfect. So here's one where we did motion our guy in. And so again, we were doing a lot of these things where we were motioning him in, kind of messing around, trying to get him the ball, trying to get him some deep things. He was kind of our shifty wide receiver. And so we bring him inside, and this was a pretty good look at these. Both of these guys end up taking him. The corner stays outside, does a good job of keeping outside leverage. But both of these guys are going to run in with the motion guy, and so it leaves our outside replace, gives him a good little window right in there again before our Mike can get over because he's plus over the other side of the field. So you can see we end up hitting him right there as everybody kind of gets lost with the motion. And then again, this was kind of one of our more explosive plays. I think this bunch won the state championship 2 years ago, played for it again this year. Like, pretty good defense, pretty solid program. And like I said, just, moving around, kind of got him caught on a play, and it, turns into a 40-yard gain for us. So,
Coach, how many times would you say you called this spoon concept last year?
Oh, over 12 games. I mean, it was in the 30s or 40s, somewhere around in there.
So very much high efficiency level. If you got 30 calls, around 3 a game, that's
right.
That's good stuff.
So, again, like I said, it kind of morphed into a pretty good, pretty efficient play for us. Our quarterback liked it. Our receivers could find these windows. And it worked well with what we did offensively. So now we brought him over, put him into the boundary. Again, just another way to kind of protect all that stuff. As we got a lot of formation in the boundary, got them to push people into it. Now we bring him out to the field, and they end up outnumbered. Our quarterback said the corner was too far outside. He didn't necessarily like that. So we just get our eyes on this guy right here in the red gloves. So let's see if we can get it to play. So he runs in, kind of takes the bait with our sit guy running in. There you go. Takes the bait with our sit guy running in. Leaves nobody again for our sniffer out there. Lets him go be pretty explosive. And again, like, the corner comes in and makes the play on a lot of those things. But like I said, we can hold him with a 4-step out by the time we get the ball to the tight end or the replace route. He's a step behind. He's not able to make the play most of the time. So it all kind of worked itself out and worked out pretty well for us.
And I like the quarterback's decision here because that's a long throw to the field
right
there. I mean, you got to have a big time arm, even with the little short speed out there. That's a pretty big time throw if he's making that one.
Now he wasn't scared. He took it a few times now, but
did he? Okay.
But yes, no doubt. And that's another thing with it. Like, something later we'll get into, we end up sending the outside guy on like a glance post and sending the back out to be kind of that pre-snap deal. And so that was a good little answer for us, especially when we got some man coverage stuff with our back.
So I like this, Coach. The quarterback's basically saying pre-snap, I like the out, I'm taking it, not I'm going really to what we would call the alley player. Is that typically their line of thinking? Or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, it's really, really good, and it's something simple that we like to kind of, like I said, pare down and make things as kind of simple and easy on our guy. We just want him looking at one person when the ball's snapped. And so if we can tell him, hey, you don't like the out route, that's awesome. You never have to look at the corner again after you decide that. So we can kind of yes-no that, and then all it is, like I said, get your eyes on him. If he's the one coming over making the play, that means you should have gone to the other side. And we did a pretty good job of throwing away from the spoon side, of throwing back over there as they push linebackers to it. So, like I said, that's the ultimate goal, is trying to get our eyes on one person. That way we're not having to overthink things after the ball's been snapped. So, again, didn't like the out route up here. Safety sitting at, we're what, on the 15. He's sitting on the 8-9 yard line. And so this was one of the ones, like I said, that as we got into some more like man coverage stuff, that's where we started glance posts in the top. But we were still able to fit this one in before he got there. So what we're telling the quarterback here, like this is where it all 11 kind of comes in. So if they're going to bring somebody back over on this side and we're getting our back out, like that's still technically our hot. There's not really a great hot to the spoon side on edge pressure. Now the inside guy comes, we'll take the sit route, like spacing and all that. But if we're feeling any sort of pressure, that's why we're putting the hitch dig deal. We're putting the snag replace on the back side of it, because that's where if we're getting any edge pressure, we need to go. And so this was one that him and I talked, and we should be taking the back. You'll see he replaces that blitzing linebacker back there behind it, but it still ends up being the right read with whoever's left. So he runs in with our sit route, and then you see we've got the replace back behind it. If our quarterback wasn't pressured, wasn't rushed, it'd have been a pretty easy throw for him. Just kind of got away from him on the move.
Absolutely.
So, but again, like I said, guys are the switch release really helped us out. Guys really kind of get lost defensively on some of that stuff. And again, it gave us a chance to make, like I said, not something we kind of designed, but gave us a chance to have a pretty explosive little play with that and make it an easy throw. So, corner didn't like the out, so our quarterback is again taking the no option on the out right there. As they push everybody over after our motion, again, it's the guy in the black gloves right here. Middle linebacker is still sitting on the hash, so our quarterback still felt like we had numbers, and I agreed with him. But you can see the guy in the black gloves stays inside. Now this is one where we were talking to number one right here, our inside receiver on the sit. This was kind of as we were getting into that transition we talked about of not sitting in a window. You can see he kind of runs into that middle linebacker, whereas we really want him to hold 33, if that makes more sense. So that's where we started coaching this more as like, hey, you need to run through his inside shoulder on your way in there instead of trying to run away from him into the window. And so if you're running through his inside shoulder and he's, hauling out here, you're still going to get the ball. But if all of a sudden you run in here and get covered, like we can't get the ball to you. And so this was one of those weeks that kind of helped us get in there, get that thought process going. But again, it's 33 sitting right there. We've got a pretty easy, clean window to hit our tight end, quarterback gets a little antsy back in there. He's, again, good little athlete, did some things that helped us out. But I feel like we could have put our foot in the ground and thrown this ball and been just fine over to the spoon side.
We're going to have a positive play if we throw that out there. It is got a lot of spacing-like elements to it.
Yes.
It seems like there's usually somebody that's open here on the spoon side.
Right. And that was, we kind of started, like I said, having it in that spacing family. But then it kind of just morphed itself into its own thing, because it is route concept wise, it's pretty similar, but we read it. I mean, we technically read it outside in, but I feel like the read was just a little bit different from that for our quarterback. But I do think I think the switch part of it's really kind of what helped us out. I mean, we do run regular spacing and all that stuff. I think being able to get the switch release off the line really kind of helped hold that linebacker quite a bit.
It seems like so many times, like you've talked about, Coach, they kind of lose them.
Yeah.
That little switch element, they just kind of get some guys mixed up, and you end up with a guy open and an easy completion.
And that's the deal you get. I mean, you got a guy running across your face. You're probably gonna want to cover him, right? I mean, so again, same deal down here at the bottom. So just, it did end up, there were times where our like I said, when he did the foot fire early, like there's a little bit of times where like when you do get your third step in the ground, you can't necessarily decide which route you need to be taking. So we did get a little bit of like the foot fire kind of hitch stuff with our quarterback. But I think one thing that did help us is as our receivers got a little bit closer and could help that switch happen a little bit faster. And again, that may just be a detriment of our wide splits. There's definitely some things that are negatives to it. But
And Coach, you talked about a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm understanding it. When they get hands on one of the routes there, that also has seemed to open up different routes there. So what are you telling your quarterback in terms of when they get hands on number 2 or number 3 or what have you?
when you're looking when we're looking at that outside linebacker, that flat defender, if he puts his hands on him, if he tries to contact that sit route guy coming across his face at all, we should be throwing the ball to the outside replace right now. If he kind of buzzes his feet and is trying to make a decision, yeah, let's keep reading him and seeing what's going on. But like as soon as he makes contact with that guy, he's telling us he's not going to make it all the way out to the flat. And if we can beat him with the ball and make the right read on time, he's not going to make it out there. So that was kind of our coaching point on that. Is if you see him collision or get hands on, the ball needs to go the outside replace right now. So.
And you're right, Coach. Every time they've gotten hands on that guy has been open. The
Right.
other guy out there, because he's not going to be able to get out there at that point. Like you said.
And so here's a look at it down into the boundary, just against blitz. Our quarterback throws it to the outside replace, and to his credit, I mean, that's kind of the first thing that we're wanting to throw. But what we talked about on the sideline on this one is like, I mean, the blitz control to the spoon side is throwing the sit route. And so, on 2nd and 10, a pretty good passing down, like if we can just catch it and throw it to, or pretty obvious passing down, if we can just catch it and throw it to this guy sitting in front of you, like let's make it easy. He took it out here to him, to our replace, and it was kind of off balance a little bit, but our replace guy lost it. But this one's in there again just for blitz control. Like if we get blitz to the spoon side, like I said, we want to take the sit route, not necessarily try and throw that outside one.
And hey, I like it, man. They're bringing 6. Anytime you have answers to that, that's a good thing because it makes those guys think about bringing 6 the next time.
No doubt. So here's a look. Here's one finally to the field for you. And so again, like we don't like our out route. Here's kind of our cut split look like we talked about. We don't like the out route, but we get our eyes on this linebacker here, this flat defender here, and see what's going on. And here's one earlier in the season where he does, like he knows he's the flat player. I'm running out to the flat, and as soon as we get inside, nice easy throw to the sit route. So
love it.
So if anything, I'd like our sit guy to be looking a little bit faster. But like I said, this was earlier in the year where we were still teaching it as windows. And so I think that once we got to, like I said, where if you're running through his inside shoulder, we're going to get the ball to you pretty quick. So same bunch, same game. Guy turns and runs out to the flat, and again, there he is right behind it. We get pressure, but again, that guy's out of the count for the concept. So we just replace him with a football. Nice, easy 8-yard gain. So a little bit later in the year for us, here's one where they do come down, start playing a little bit more like the man coverage stuff. And so our inside guy does a pretty good job of like finding a window. Again, not necessarily what we taught, but as he saw them in that man coverage look, he knew I've got to get inside of that. So to me, I'm telling our quarterback if we're taking the spoon side on this, we need to be throwing the out. But as soon as we see him coming back across, that tells us we've got numbers up here. So I think recognizes that late, and you can see he gets his eyes to the right side of the field, right side of the formation a little bit late. Because again, we do teach, like in our quick game, we truly split the field in half, and we tell him, like, if you're picking the spoon side, for example, going to the left side, there's no like full field read of getting all the way back over to the right side. And so that's why there are times where he tucks the ball and runs a little bit quicker than maybe you'd necessarily like him. But by this point now, he's seen that they push the mic over. He knows he's taking the wrong side, and so he'll get his eyes back up to the right and take off.
Well, and he's got some scoot to him too. So.
He does. He's a good little athlete. I think he runs over a couple guys and picks up the first down for us there in the playoff game. So he's a tough little joker.
Anytime your quarterback runs somebody over, that's going to get the boys fired up, I think.
Right? No doubt. So back down here into the boundary. And so again, this is one where, yeah, he's trying to collision the guy, but he's working his way up into the flats, kind of buzzing his feet a little bit, like he's not running with our sit route. So our quarterback does a good job of hanging on for a second. We don't want to drift in there. I think our sit route guy gets a little bit excited and starts moving back. But there's a good look at that guy's just like, he just can't be right, really. I mean, he's sitting there hanging to let everything sort out, but he knows he's got to be the flat player, so he's got to be worried over here. Well, this linebacker's never going to make it if he's plussed out that far, if he's pushed over that far. So, now here's another look. So here's a little bit closer. These are like our true splits, and I left this one in here. I think we end up throwing the other side or scrambling the other side. But I left this one in here just to show, like, we can eventually get there with those splits. But like I said, we do want a little bit tighter, more condensed splits on this stuff, just so we can get that rub route. But like I said, I mean, you see that we do eventually get inside of him. That guy turns and runs with the sit, or with the replace, We've got the sit there if we've got time. But it does just develop a little bit longer. Takes a little bit longer with our wide splits that we had. So here's a way that we kind of got to it, is doing like the two receiver bunch stuff. So now we still have our out route. We don't like it. Now all of a sudden we've got a pretty easy way to get that switch with 2 and 3. And again, our quarterback's still looking at this guy. He buzzes the flat, take the sit route. Like I said, 1, our splits help, but 2, and 2, our quarterback's able to get the ball out there before the middle linebacker can make it. So that was a pretty good way that we, like I said, ultimately kind of got to it out of 10 personnel, being able to have that answer in as well.
And Coach, you've touched on it, but tell me a little more about your quarterback footwork on there.
So if he's throwing the out, it's catch and throw, put your right foot in the ground, get rid of the ball. If he's not and he's reading that defender, we want him to take what we call a quick 3. It's essentially a drop step, crossover, and then now your right foot's in the ground ready to throw it. Our toes are at 6, so he should hopefully be about 7, maybe a little bit more than 7 yards deep, 7.5. And so we would like for him to throw it right off that 3rd step. Some of these is the guy kind of like a couple of clips ago where the guy just kind of hangs out there for a second. He does what we call foot fire, like he chops his feet. And so that gives him a chance, a little bit of timing to be able to throw it. Like you can see here, he doesn't quite get the crossover step, but that 3rd step is when we want to throw the ball, as this guy's sitting right in there. So his timing works out pretty well. I wish he would have got a little bit more depth with that 2nd step. But timing-wise, that's pretty good. You still there? Did I lose you?
Nope, I got you the whole time, Coach.
Gotcha.
I love how versatile it is, too.
Your picture went away from me there.
Mixed it up there.
Well, so this was one of our better formations, kind of better run game formation. And so, this was earlier on in the year, but you can see like we like 3 right here to be a little bit more vertical. Later in the year, he gets a little bit more vertical to stay away from this guy. But it did help us again. It's a way to protect the run game. At the end of the day, our ultimate goal is to run the football, and so it gave us a chance to kind of protect the run game in some of these kind of bunch formations like this. Now,
What was
like
some of the run game you liked in that set, Coach?
honestly, we ran a lot of power to the bunch side, and then we'd run like GY counter back away from it. And so as we got people pushing over to the bunch side, we'd run counter stuff like that. Reverse was pretty good for us out of it, to be totally honest too. Just kind of some stuff like that. So nothing crazy, just again ways to get guys outnumbered gap wise.
Love it.
So
Love some gap scheme too.
oh, no doubt, dude, no doubt. Anytime we can add things to the gap side, we're good. So you can see like the outside replace. Like I said, this was early. He's still thinking like I've got to beat this guy 1-on-1. We'd really like him to just work out here and, for lack of a better way to put it, hold that guy away from the sit if he's going to cover him. So in a perfect world, we'd like him outside of that defender. So here's a look at a couple of the ones we talked about where he's going to end up being our like 5-step glance as they're playing man coverage with his safety, and we sent our back to be the out route. And so it kind of slowed the read a little bit for the quarterback because he's got to get his eyes to the safety now, because we want to post snap read the safety and just double check, make sure that he is truly playing man coverage. So what we told our quarterback is if he is backing up and he's not playing man coverage, by the time you see that, you should be able to get your eyes out to the corner to see if he's run with the back or not. And if he has, there's one guy left back in here. And so it was a little bit more of, like I said earlier, we really wanted, get our eyes on one guy post snap. But this was more of a kind of multi-layered deal to it. The ultimate goal of us calling this is we're thinking we're getting man coverage. We want to see the safety scream down and throw the ball back behind him. But there were times when people got us where they weren't necessarily playing man, and so it just kind of slowed up our read and thought process for the quarterback a little bit. But you can see, the safety's coming down on that outside replace. We do have the glance back behind it if we don't have pressure. But we've also got a pretty good look at if the safety is backing up, that guy's sitting here with the sit, and then there's nobody on our outside replace still. So I wish our sit wasn't that far inside. He gets shoved down. A little ways. And gets pushed down inside. But again, the glance part of it down in the red zone was pretty good for us. So same thing here. Here's a look where the safety does bail out of there. So to me, like what we were telling our quarterback on this one is we should be taking the out if the defender out here is messing with the outside replace. If he's that far inside, we should be taking the tailback. Our quarterback chose the pre-snap side to the out route over here, down here at the bottom. But if we can get a clean release off of this, we've got another pretty good window for that outside replace also. So, man, I thought I had this thing plugged in.
But you know what is really evident about this is we talked about the versatility of it, but we've seen it against about every look you can imagine. We've seen it against blitz, we've seen it against 2 high, 1 high, man. A lot of different stuff gives you a lot of answers for whatever the defense is doing.
Absolutely. And that's the ultimate goal, right? Like we want concepts that are going to be efficient and versatile, and that our guys know what's happening. Our players know what's happening and know what the answer is.
Really good stuff on the spoon concept. Looks like Coach is frozen, but absolutely loved all that stuff. Some really, really good stuff there. Anytime, obviously, sometimes we have guys from different states on. The internet can be what it can be, but absolutely loved some of the stuff Coach showed there. And one of the things exciting about that is you get to see the versatility of the concept. One of the things I like about showing film is you also get to see it against various different looks, not just on the chalkboard where everybody kind of draws it against one look, that primo look that you want, but you see it against all sorts of different stuff. Really, really enjoyed that one. Unfortunately, a little technical difficulties there at the end, but really good stuff from Coach. We appreciate him and we appreciate you, and hopefully you'll join us again next time for another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show.